Hello Dex Heads, I'm K-Swope, and in this video we're going to be reviewing Dexter Season 5. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, before we dive right in, a few things I want to talk to you guys about. First things first, I have reviewed every season of Dexter up to this point, and I plan to review all the ones afterwards. So, go check the iCard up here. It's going to give you all the videos that I've done before and after this moment. So go check those out. Very, very important that you guys do. I also want to let you know, be ready for spoilers for everything, meaning all of the original series of Dexter, including New Blood and Original Sin Season 1, because I'm just kind of going here. I'm going to reference things here, there, everywhere. So if you have not watched my previous videos, check those out because I will be referencing those. But if you also have not watched the series, spoiler alert, I am not censoring anything. But diving right into things, I am of course going to go through each plot point and I'm going to give them a rating between 1 and 10. 10 is good, 1 is bad. Let's go ahead and dive in and talk about Dexter's plot points first. So Dexter, obviously, the end of Season 4, okay? He walks in, Rita's been killed, okay? It's tragic, it's crazy, and this season makes the great call of picking up right afterwards. He calls into the police, him and Harrison go outside the house, and it's just, it's chaos, and it's crazy, and it's insane. And everyone at the police station, they're kind of hurting for Dexter and Rita as well, because this is the guy who was the reason for her demise, is the guy they were hunting for like ever. And it was rough, it was tragic, it was sad. Plus it was one of their own whose spouse died, which was, you know, terrible. And so as someone who struggles with emotions in terms of not feeling them, he has to figure, okay, what is grief? How does grief feel? What do I do? How do I work through it? I think that's very, very, I really, really like that is what I'm trying to say. Because I think Dexter, in that regard, like, I don't know. Sometimes, for me personally, I relate to this because I don't always quite feel like I'm in tune with my emotions. I don't quite get it. And so I find myself soul-searching a lot, being like, what am I feeling? How do I respond to this feeling? You know what I'm saying? And I really feel that's what he's doing when he's trying to get through this stuff here, because he just doesn't know what to do. He just had a complete loss. Because technically, he kind of lost in a way, Season 4, which is part of what makes Season 4 so compelling. But, yeah, there's that. He doesn't know what to do. He's trying to figure out, what the heck does my life look like now after this tragedy? He's also got to juggle now being a single father with 2 stepkids and a son of his own. You know, what is he going to do? That kind of thing, which is really rough. He makes the call of basically sending Astro and Cody off to live with their grandparents while he takes care of Harrison, because he thinks it's important that Astro and Cody stick together since they are full brothers and sisters, whereas he's just gonna take care of Harrison. Dexter also then, because he still has his nighttime hobbies that he has not gotten over, because he's still got that going on, plus his day job, he decides to hire a nanny for Harrison, right? Well, I have a lot of points on that, things to say, but there is a lot of plot that goes with that. But most importantly, Dexter's main goal this whole season is he's getting back into his thing, going the chop. He's got to hide it a little less now because, you know, his family's no longer around him. He eventually ends up saving this woman who was locked in, like, the attic of this guy he was, you know, doing things to, you know, these things. Only find out that she has been, like, crazy abused and beaten and things like that, named Lumen. Goes to find out that he kind of stumbled into this big, I guess you would call it like a trafficking ring, that a bunch of these guys, just a few guys, they do it, and the last guy would always take out the trash, if you will, stuff them in a barrel, and like throw them into like a swamp or something somewhere. So pretty terrible stuff. And so he meets this Lumen lady, and through this whole experience, I guess, he decides to help Lumen, because Lumen in a lot of ways reminds him of Rita, his wife. And so he figures, you know, if I'm going to avenge Rita or get back, this is the most logical way to do so. And that being said, you know, I think that's very compelling. I think it's very, very compelling. I think there's a lot of really compelling stuff this season that Dexter goes through. I don't think it's the best stuff Dexter's gone through, but I still think it's really, really good. I have some nitpicks here and there. Like, I do think that he got over Rita a little too fast. I do have some gripes with that.
Wait a tick. That means I'm single again. Oh, behave! Yeah!
I think it would have been great going a whole season without him, you know, dating or getting romantically involved in anybody. But I do like Lumen, and I do like the Lumen-Dexter match. I think there's some really good dynamics there. So I mean, that kind of makes up for it, but also kind of doesn't at the same time. So, I mean, you kind of got to pick and choose your battles. I will say, I'm picking most of these ratings more upon how it made me feel and how much I enjoyed watching it, rather than if it's objectively good and good writing. Therefore, all that being said, before I get to my ranking, there's one more thing I forgot about now that I'm looking at my notes here. Quinn and Liddy. So, Joey Quinn, right? He gets mega sus after Dexter, after this whole thing happens with his wife, okay? Which makes sense. He's not the first cop to be sus of Dexter, right? So he starts getting the help of this, if you want to call him, I call him washed up, but like an old police private eye detective dude. I don't remember exactly what he used to do. He got kicked off the official police payroll. He wants back on the police payroll, and so Quinn's like, yo, if my suspicion is correct, you can help me prove it. This guy's a bad guy, and you can get back on the thing. So this Liddy guy is like, heck yeah, let's do it. So Dexter's once again being followed and tailed because someone thinks he's sus. Overall, though, this season arc for Dexter, I like it a lot. It's very engaging to me. It kept my mind. You know, I was there. I was ready. I give it an 8 out of 10. Deb, on the other hand, is working with the police, and the police, for reasons, begin to investigate Jordan Chase, who we'll talk about him later. He's basically the season villain. They're to investigate him for reasons, this, and that. A little bit to do with the Lumen thing and all of that. But there's also these gang murders going on that the police are investigating, and, you know, Deb's a big part of doing that as well. Deb also ends up in a relationship with, once again, Detective Joey Quinn, which is crazy because just 2 seasons ago, they kind of sort of hated each other, although Quinn was very flirty. Other than that, and you're trying to help Dexter out in whatever way she can, she really doesn't do a whole lot this season. I still think the role that she plays in this season is very good, even though, like I said, most of it has to do with Quinn and the little bit of police stuff that she's, you know, involved with as well. Honestly, the police stuff this season, I watched the season a couple months ago. I don't remember most of it, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it, which, you know, we'll talk to that later. Overall, though, I think Deb's arc is serviceable, and it's pretty decent. It's pretty good. I give it a 7 out of 10. Now, I'm putting a special plot point here for Quinn, because I mentioned he's got a lot of involvement this season. A lot goes on with him. First things first, like I said, he is sus of Dex, okay? Which totally understand, makes total sense to me. He also falls in love with Deb, and this is not just a him using Deb to get close to Dexter to bust him thing. Like, he falls pretty hard. I think it's really interesting, though, because it's sort of from this moment, in my mind at least, from this season, where we really get to see Quinn start to change. And he's changing for the positive here, but later on we're going to see him change for the negative and then go positive again. Which we'll talk about. And that's part of the reason why I love his character so much, because he goes through a lot, and I understand, for the most part at least. I mean, a few things here and there I don't get, but generally I understand what's causing him to go up and causing him to go down and things like that. And it's, I don't know, I mean, it's entertainment, and I find it entertaining, so I appreciate that. And I don't know why, but I really, really like this part, and I give Quinn's arc here, okay, hear me out, 9 out of 10. Meanwhile, the police are still doing the gang murder thing, yada, yada, yada. No one cares about that. Well, you know what we do care about? We care about Bautista and LaGuardia that are married now, okay? Now, honestly, I think this is a really interesting dynamic. At first, I'm like, this is kind of weird. I don't quite get it last season. But it was definitely entertaining because now they were getting married so they wouldn't get hassled at work. But now they have to deal with the fact that they are married and they have to function as a married couple at work. And so there's some interesting stuff there. It's not the strongest stuff ever. The police stuff's usually in this series kind of, you know, meh, hit or miss, not super great. I give it a 6.5 out of 10. Now, the villain in this series, I talked about him already. His name's Jordan Chase, okay? He's a motivational self-help book writer, speaker guy, okay? So, of course, as you can assume, he's very cheesy. But it's interesting because Jordan Chase as a villain is pretty lame, but the organization that he puts together is very interesting because there's a whole origin story. Him and a couple of guys back at a summer camp, they, we'll put it like this, took advantage of a female counselor, and Jordan was kind of the guy pulling the strings for that. He didn't participate, but he's the one who told everybody, hey, if you want it, take it, it's yours, okay? Kind of like survival of the fittest sort of thing. And that's kind of where that comes from, which is very fascinating. Not a great mentality to have. As we see throughout the season with Dexter and Lumen, what's going on with them, they're going through this ring of guys and taking them out one by one, trying to find who the next guys are so they know who to go after next. Jordan Chase, of course, being the king in this game of chess, and so they're going to try to take him out. So like I said, Jordan Chase himself, kind of boring, but I will say the stuff going on was interesting. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Moving on to my notes, I will say, I mentioned Lumen before, right? Lumen's a very important character this season. Not gonna lie, Lumen, I think, is my favorite love interest for Dexter. Now, he's had, like, 3 really strong love interests. He's really into blondes for some reason. Lumen's probably my favorite. I don't know why. I like their dynamic a lot. I don't really know how else to explain it. It's just, like, the two of them together kind of sort of makes sense. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I like the fact that he's avenging Lumen, because Lumen reminds him of Rita. So it's almost like this is his redemption for what happened to Rita, I think. And with the way that Dexter looks at it and frames it, plus I guess the way that Lumen is involved in it, because, you know, she knows everything. She's the first person who is not on Dexter's table to know everything other than, like, you know, his dad and things like that. So she's basically the only living person who kind of knows what's what, and she's okay with it. And it's fascinating. I don't know. I really can't rationalize it or explain it. I just like it, to be quite honest. I just like it. The other note I have is that Quinn forgetting about Dexter being like, okay, throw that out the window because I love Deb, is really, really dumb. Because I would still, there's still evidence here, and even if I wouldn't care if I were in Quinn's case, I would still always have that in the back of my mind every time Dexter does something. And I really wish they would at least explore that if they didn't just do him backing out. Because he backs out on Liddy. Liddy kidnaps Dexter in some way, shape, or form. I forget how that actually played out because it's been a while since I've seen this. Dexter ends up giving him the knife, which is unfortunate. And then people think Quinn did it. Dexter gets Quinn off the hook, and it's kind of weird. It's like, especially after that, it's like Dexter knew that Quinn was looking after him and all that stuff, is going after him, and then he just still did all that. If I were Quinn, I would just be like super sus. I might not say anything, but I'd still be super sus the whole time. So that's pretty dumb. But generally speaking, and again, I almost want to say this is my comfort season of Dexter, honestly. It is, I think, the most underrated season. It is not the best season, don't get me wrong, but to be quite honest, it is one of my favorites. And for that reason, I give season 5 an 8 out of 10. I know, right? Shocker, you weren't expecting that, were you? But what I can tell you is there's plenty more hot takes where that came from because, like I said, we dropped every season of Dexter before. We're getting ready to do every season after. Go check out the cards for more. And I didn't mention this before at the beginning of the video, but we are going to be taking all of these videos, making one long supercut. We're going to include some extra content, and I will be ranking each season, including New Blood and Original Sin, in that video, so check that one out as well. It's going to be one heck of a show, let me tell you. But in the meantime, I'm K-Swope. Thank you guys all for watching. Catch you guys in Season 6.